You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
Well, thanks for joining us. I'm Ryan Yamamoto. Here's a look at our news headlines this morning. Heads up for transit riders across the Bay Area starting tomorrow. You won't need a Clipper card to ride BART. You'll be able to tap to pay with your cell phone using your credit card or mobile wallet like Apple Pay and Google Pay. Other transit agencies like Muni will continue to use Clipper cards, at least for now. A young woman who was struck by a car while walking her dog in Santa Rosa has died. 19-year-old Natalie Fisher was pronounced dead over the weekend, 3 days after the crash. Police say the driver stayed at the scene and cooperated. Investigators do not believe alcohol or faulty signals played a role. In the meantime, speed limits could be lowered on nearly 30 streets in Santa Rosa. The city council voting on a plan today. The proposal could cut speed limits by 5 miles per hour and would be enforceable by radar. San Francisco police are searching for a newborn infant they believe is at high risk of being neglected. Police say the 7-day-old baby girl was last seen with her 33-year-old mother at the Target store in Geary and Masonic. This happened on Monday. If you see them or know anything, you're asked to call 911. Japan's SoftBank is investing $2 billion into Santa Clara-based Intel. The money is a lifeline for the chipmaker that has struggled to adapt to the booming artificial intelligence industry. The offer comes just days after reports the White House could take a $10 billion stake in Intel. And President Trump says he's working to set up a meeting between the leaders of Ukraine and Russia to talk about ending the war. Trump hosted Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and several European leaders at the White House yesterday. While they were there, Trump stepped out to have his own 40-minute call with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Okay, now let's get a check of our forecast with First Alert meteorologist Jessica Birch.
Well, we're off to a beautiful start for our forecast as we head into this week, but we do have a big warm up right around the corner. Enjoy this while we have it. 70s and 60s in the forecast from San Francisco down into Half Moon Bay. A mixed bag of 80s and 70s throughout our inland spots throughout this afternoon, including the Santa Clara Valley. But as we head into the next couple days, high pressure starts ridging its way in. That's going to warm us up. It dries us up widespread throughout the bay. We'll even see some triple digits on the map right around the corner off into the East Bay. I'll show you that in a second, but let's start off with today, because temperatures are right around average this afternoon, but we still have that strong surface level wind kicking up a lot more into the afternoon hours. San Francisco just around lunchtime up to around a 20-mile-per-hour wind gust. Will max up to around a 30-mile-per-hour wind gust along our coast before things start to die down heading into this evening. Now at the surface level, we woke up to some clouds in the forecast earlier this morning throughout the bay. That pulled back pretty fast along the coast. Now we're just seeing sunshine throughout our inland areas today, including the peninsula. With the exception of the coastline, it's a pretty beautiful day if you ask me. But let's take a look at the next 7 days, because that huge heat up that I was just talking about, we're going to notice it everywhere throughout the bay, but especially in our inland spots. That's where the heat risk really lies. As relative humidity drops and temperature starts to rise, we'll eventually hit the triple digits off into our inland spots like the East Bay. We'll see upper 90s throughout the North Bay and the Santa Clara Valley. The good news is low pressure starts to really assist to that heat as we head into this weekend, and we're going to get right back down to average by Sunday heading into Monday of next week. Now you make your way over into the bay. Oakland, San Francisco, Daly City, Berkeley, back and forth from the Bay Bridge. Today we're sitting in the 70s. Tomorrow we're in the upper 70s. We see some low 80s by Thursday, and then we're right back down to average heading into this weekend's forecast for beautiful activities outside.
Well, President Trump says he's pushing to lay a path toward peace between Russia and Ukraine. Trump hosted Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at the White House yesterday after meeting with the Russian President Vladimir Putin last week in Alaska. They say they had a productive meeting, but there's still no deal to end the war.
Thank you very much for your efforts, personal efforts to stop killings and stop this war.
We've had a lot of good discussions, a lot of good talks, and I think progress is being made, very substantial progress.
The sit-down with Zelensky and European leaders comes 3 days after President Trump met with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska. Now Trump says he's arranging a sit-down with the three leaders. John Ramos spoke with Ukrainians here in the Bay Area, closely watching those talks.
All across the Bay Area, Ukrainian nationals are watching anxiously as the future of their country is negotiated behind closed doors in Washington, D.C.
Will there be severe consequences? Does that change?
We are viewing very closely. I mean, like every word, every gesture, everything.
Natalia Gashilik is a Ukrainian national and a UC Berkeley lecturer on Slavic languages. She, like a lot of her fellow Ukrainians, are keeping a close eye on the meeting between Presidents Trump and Zelensky.
We see that as very important. First of all, that's the first meeting in Washington, D.C. since the, infamous Oval meeting.
The Oval meeting was the angry exchange in February between Zelensky and Trump, all while the cameras rolled.
You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III.
At the time, Natalia considered that moment to be a disaster for Ukraine.
It felt like, you are in a car and this car is going to, there's going to be a car wreck. So it's going to hit something very large, and it is hitting at this moment, and you are, witnessing this alive. So that was something unexpected.
But this meeting feels different, especially since Zelensky has arrived with friends, the leaders of many European nations.
And that's important on so many levels for Ukrainians. First of all, that shows that Ukraine is actually a part of European, security framework. It is a part of European family.
The war has been going on for 3 years now, and locally, Ukrainians hit the streets in February after President Trump suggested that it was Ukraine that started the war.
You should have ended it 3 years. You should have never started it. You could have made a deal.
And last week, many were offended by the amount of reverence that President Trump showed Vladimir Putin at their meeting in Alaska.
It was very inappropriate. A lot of aspects of this, the optics of rolling the red carpet literally for a war criminal, having U.S. servicemen kind of bow in front of Putin.
Igor Markov directs a Palo Alto-based group called Nova Ukraine. He says his members are alarmed by what they're now seeing.
People are on the edge. People are following the news. Also, everyone is following what is happening in Ukraine. The air alerts went on last night again.
Even as the talks are happening, Russia has stepped up its attacks on Ukraine, allegedly including civilian targets. Markov believes Putin is acting out of desperation as his economy crumbles, hoping to force a deal that would allow Russia to keep portions of the land it has already taken.
If President Trump's condition is that Russia gets to keep territory that it has taken over, you would say what?
This is a no-go. And this is a no-go for Europe. This is a no-go for Zelensky. This is a no-go for the people of Ukraine.
During the campaign, President Trump frequently boasted that he could end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours. He now admits it's more complicated than he thought. To Ukraine and to Europe itself, land isn't just a bargaining chip. It's actually someone's home.
And the Ukrainians say they still need American weapons to defend themselves, but will need Europe to help foot that bill. That is something that President Trump has been pushing for. Still ahead on CBS News Bay Area, Trump runs into a jewelry store. Masked thieves use hammers to smash the cases.
He used his life savings to renovate the store, and we had only opened about 6 months ago.
Why the owners say they still feel grateful even after losing nearly everything. Plus, the embattled San Mateo County Sheriff fighting for her job. Why her legal team says the removal process is unfair.
In the Bay Area, a new WNBA franchise is taking flight. Catch this first-in-a-lifetime inaugural season as the Golden State Valkyries play live on KPIX and Pix Plus.
We have a big warm-up in the forecast right around the corner as we head into the next couple days. Where we notice it the most, well, honestly, all of our microclimates, but really those inland areas heating up to the triple digits by Thursday. It'll be a hot day for us, and now that it's back to school too, that summer heat is on in full force, but luckily it starts to cool down back into the 80s heading into this weekend throughout those inland areas. And at the same time, our microclimates along the bay are gearing up for 80s in the forecast by Thursday. Well above average for this time of year, but good news, we have 70s and cloudy skies heading into early next week.
California is joining 21 attorneys general in another lawsuit against the Trump administration. This one focuses on the move to block more than $1 billion in annual grants to the victims of crime acts unless states enforce its immigration agenda. California Attorney Rob Bonta says that that's illegal.
They're putting public safety and survivors of crime at risk, and they're holding over $1 billion of federal funding hostage to strong-arm states into joining their inhumane and frenzied immigration agenda.
The Victims of Crime Act was established in 1984. It provides victims with services like medical and funeral expenses, emergency shelter, and counseling. States use this money to assist nearly 10 million victims every year. California was expected to receive $165 million this fiscal year in grant funds. City of Oakland is no stranger to smash and grab robberies, but a recent one cost the business nearly everything. Police say the thieves crashed a truck into a jewelry store before rushing in and taking whatever they could. Our Amanda Harry spoke with the owner and his son about what it means for their business going forward.
Shattered glass and bent metal are all that's left behind after a smash and grab at Kim Tin Jewelry on International Boulevard in Oakland.
It's just a mess. We don't even know where to get started with fixing things.
Jason Dow says his father, who owns the business, was the only one there when it happened, around 1:45 Monday afternoon.
I was scared for his safety, right? Because there's been a lot of stories about jewelry stores getting robbed in the Bay Area, and a lot of them ended out fatal. So I was really worried.
After getting the call, Dow rushed down to the store to see his father, grateful to find he was alive with just some cuts and bruises. His father didn't want to appear on camera, but spoke about his experience.
I'm working, I hear the very big sound, loud sound, like the bomb something. Bam!
He says he looked up and saw the white truck had backed into the building. He saw about 8 men in ski masks came inside and used hammers to break open the jewelry cases. They made sure he couldn't intervene.
One guy stay back, put the gun on me. I'm scared, but I know they don't want me to die.
He says the suspects took all the jewelry and almost all of the money, then jumped into other vehicles and got away. The truck was left and later towed by police. Dow says the business was everything to his father.
My dad, he used his life savings to renovate the store, and we had only opened about 6 months ago. So, it's really hard for our family.
Dow's family already started raising money to try and rebuild. But for now, they don't have the funds to repair all the damage. So they're forced to close down.
He's a good man and he's very hardworking, so it's really sad to see something happen like this in Oakland.
And Oakland police said earlier this month, violent crimes, including robberies, had dropped in the first 6 months of the year. That's compared to the same period last year, but the department and Mayor Barbara Lee said their work is not done and they'll keep working with the community to address their concerns. Deputies in San Francisco chased a man through the Soma neighborhood who appeared armed with a knife. This happened yesterday, and they say pepper spray and other tools did not stop him. That's when Sheriff Paul Miyamoto stepped in with a taser, helping bring down the man. Reed Cowan spoke with him today in our morning edition about using non-lethal force.
This is an example of the use of a tool that we have on our tool belt that is designed to stop somebody and to give us an advantage and take control of that individual so that we can take them into custody, make sure they're not harmful to themselves or to anybody else, and it's a safer way for us to do things. And the collaboration between us and the police department in order to resolve this matter was really what I want to highlight. There was another deputy involved as well. Yeah. We both discharged our tasers and were able to stop the individual from continuing on his way.
Deputies arrested the man who turned out to be carrying a pair of scissors without handles. Embattled San Mateo County Sheriff Christina Corpus is back on the stand today to fight for her job. It is the second day of a public hearing in Redwood City on whether she should be removed from office. Lauren Toms was in court on Monday where Corpus answered questions about allegations over conflict of interest and retaliation.
For the first time publicly, San Mateo County Sheriff Christina Corpus answered direct questions as she faces a hearing that could remove her from office. She testified about how she ran her office and her relationship with her executive director, Victor Iyenjay, insisting she did not have a romantic relationship with him, an issue the county points to as a clear conflict of interest. Her attorney, Tom Perez, insists the effort to remove her has been biased and rushed.
This trial will show that, yes, people opposed her and people went to defamatory lengths to remove her, and we're going to keep fighting.
Attorneys for the county laid out a list of allegations that Sheriff Corpus did have an intimate personal relationship with I&J. They say she retaliated against deputies she deemed disloyal, obstructed investigations, and neglected her duties. The county pointed to I&J's hiring as a prime example. A real estate broker brought in at nearly $200,000 a year. They called former high-ranking members of the department as witnesses who testified about unusual behavior between Corpus and I&J, sharing meals together and logging on and offline at the same time, a trip to Hawaii, and a pattern of forceful behavior towards deputies. County spokesperson Effie Miliones-Verducci says the county is prepared to make their case for her removal.
In the removal hearing that's beginning today at the county, we are looking forward to the evidence, the witness testimony that's coming out, and the factual evidence that will be presented by both sides to put a definitive picture of what has been happening here and to help us all move forward.
Overseeing the hearing is retired Judge James Emerson from Santa Clara County, who began by noting this is not a criminal trial. Legal analyst Steve Clark says it's a rare civil proceeding that could lead to the end of Corpus's tenure as San Mateo County's top law enforcement official.
This is not a criminal trial about putting someone in jail beyond a reasonable doubt or a civil trial awarding someone money. This is really about whether the county can establish good cause for removing Sheriff Corpus. And that's really a subjective standard, and it'll be up to the judge to decide whether the county's made its case.
Corpus's defense team argued this hearing isn't about misconduct by the sheriff, but her efforts to address the culture of what they called the old boys club inside the sheriff's deputies union. Her attorneys say Corpus inherited a double overtime deal that ballooned to $16 million, far beyond projections. And when she tried to end it, they say the union turned against her. Her attorneys insist she's being targeted for trying to modernize the sheriff's office as the county's first female sheriff of color. A historic move to oust the sheriff now playing out in an open courtroom.
You may not like how they're handling it, but are they getting the job done? And I think that will be very important for her to make that case.
And retired Santa Clara County Judge James Emerson is presiding over the 10-day hearing. Will have 45 days to write his own report and send it to the Board of Supervisors. Then he'll decide whether to remove Corpus from office. Still ahead, the NFL introducing new technology this season. Why one 49ers claiming the league stole his idea.
Oh, thank you so much.
You are going to notice a huge warm up around the corner as high pressure starts to ridge its way in. What this is going to do for us, it drops our relative humidity. So we will see sunnier skies, warmer weather. We're going to see daytime highs start to peak, eventually hitting the triple digits, making us keep a close eye on places like the East Bay when it comes to our heat risk map as early as Thursday. And that's also the case throughout some of the North Bay valleys too. Napa, Sonoma, stretched all the way down into the Santa Clara Valley. We're in that moderate heat risk as we head into our Thursday forecast. So I want to show you the numbers starting off in those inland areas, because it's places like the East Bay and the North Bay that I'm a little concerned about when it comes to this extreme heat coming in fast and then moving out fast too. Look at this. I mean, we jump from the 80s to the 90s by tomorrow, triple digits Thursday, back into the 80s heading into this weekend's forecast. And it looks pretty similar along the bay too, just of course a lot cooler as we head into the next couple days. Today we're in the 70s. Tomorrow we're in the upper 70s. We hit the 80s by Thursday with sunny skies, which will feel super nice and very beautiful, but of course well above average for this time of year.
Police in Campbell are testing out a controversial new tool. It's called Draft One. Officers are using the artificial intelligence-powered software in their body-worn cameras to help write their police reports. Here's how it works. After an officer records an interaction on their body camera, they request that Draft One create a report. The tool uses a transcript from the body camera footage to create the draft, which begins to appear within seconds of the request. The goal is to make the process faster and easier. But critics worry that the technology could create more opportunities for the abuse of power and reduce transparency. Well, the NFL is introducing new technology this season to help measure first downs, and they may have gotten the idea from George Kittle. Fern Glenn explains.
This is the Audi Red and Gold Report.
The 49ers host the Chargers this Saturday in their preseason finale. Not just a chance to get a final look at the players before the roster cutdowns, but also an opportunity to continue to get used to the league's new rules. And that includes the NFL's Hawkeye technology to help determine first downs. Part of the tech is having a microchip in the ball. Something 49ers tight end and former Iowa Hawkeye George Kittle said was an idea of his over a decade ago as an undergrad.
Back in college, I was in an entrepreneurship class, and we had to invent something and make a business sale for it. And my invention was a microchip in a football for measurements. And I thought of that back in 2014, and I should have done something with it because that would have been very helpful for me today because they could have bought it from me. But I missed my window and I missed my op.
You definitely probably named it Hawkeye.
I can't remember what I named it. That was 12 years ago, but you know what?
You named it Chip in the Ball.
Something like that, man. Something easy, something catchy.
With the Red and Gold Report, I'm Vern Glenn.
Hey, the Golden State Valkyries back in action tonight at Chase Center, taking on the Phoenix Mercury. It's a tough matchup for the Valks. Coming off a loss on Sunday, last time the two teams met, the Mercury won by 1 point thanks to a controversial free throw. Golden State hoping the Bahala crowd can lift them to a win before they head to Phoenix on Friday. Valkyries in 7th place in the standings with 10 games left in the regular season. Top 8, though, they do make the playoffs. You can watch the Valkyries take on the Phoenix Mercury tonight. Pix Plus 44 Cable 12. The live pregame starts at 6:30. And coming up our next half hour in CBS News Bay Area, thousands of San Francisco city workers back in the office. Now downtown businesses are hoping to cash in on their return.
Hopefully people in the downtown also coming back more days a week so I can able to get more business.
You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
Well, thanks for staying with us. I'm Ryan Yamamoto. Here's another look at our news headlines. Heads up for transit riders across the Bay Area. Starting tomorrow, you won't need a Clipper card to ride BART. You'll be able to tap to pay with your cell phone using your credit card or mobile wallet like Apple Pay and Google Pay. Other transit agencies like Muni, they will continue to use Clipper cards for now. A young woman who was struck by a car while walking her dog in Santa Rosa has died. 19-year-old Natalie Fisher was pronounced dead over the weekend, 3 days after the crash. Police say the driver stayed at the scene and is cooperating. Investigators do not believe speed, alcohol, or faulty signals played a role. Japan's SoftBank is investing $2 billion into Santa Clara-based Intel. The money is a lifeline for the chipmaker that has struggled to adapt to the booming artificial intelligence industry. The offer comes just days after reports the White House could take a $10 billion stake in Intel. And after a colder than average summer, the city has been seeing some much nicer temperatures. Let's get another check of our forecast with First Alert meteorologist Jessica Birch to talk about another warm-up this week.
Well, we're off to a beautiful start for our forecast as we head into this week, but we do have a big warm-up right around the corner. Enjoy this while we have it. 70s and 60s in the forecast from San Francisco down into Half Moon Bay. A mixed bag of 80s and 70s throughout our inland spots throughout this afternoon, including the Santa Clara Valley. But as we head into the next couple days, high pressure starts ridging its way in. That's going to warm us up. It dries us up widespread throughout the bay. We'll even see some triple digits on the map right around the corner off into the East Bay. I'll show you that in a second, but let's start off with today, because temperatures are right around average this afternoon, but we still have that strong surface level wind kicking up a lot more into the afternoon hours. San Francisco just around lunchtime up to around a 20-mile-per-hour wind gust. Will max up to around a 30-mile-per-hour wind gust along our coast before things start to die down heading into this evening. Now at the surface level, we woke up to some clouds in the forecast earlier this morning throughout the bay. That pulled back pretty fast along the coast. Now we're just seeing sunshine throughout our inland areas today, including the peninsula. With the exception of the coastline, it's a pretty beautiful day if you ask me. But let's take a look at the next 7 days, because that huge heat up that I was just talking about, we're going to notice it everywhere throughout the bay, but especially in our inland spots. That's where the heat risk really lies. As relative humidity drops and temperature starts to rise, we'll eventually hit the triple digits off into our inland spots like the East Bay. We'll see upper 90s throughout the North Bay and the Santa Clara Valley. The good news is low pressure starts to really assist to that heat as we head into this weekend, and we're going to get right back down to average by Sunday heading into Monday of next week. Now you make your way over into the bay. Oakland, San Francisco, Daly City, Berkeley, back back and forth from the Bay Bridge. Today we're sitting in the 70s. Tomorrow we're in the upper 70s. We see some low 80s by Thursday, and then we're right back down to average heading into this weekend's forecast for beautiful activities outside.
Well, California lawmakers are in a crunch time this week. A Thursday deadline looms as Democrats push a controversial redistricting plan aimed at reshaping congressional maps ahead of the 2026 election. They are doing this to counter efforts by Texas Republicans to redraw their own congressional maps to pick up 5 seats in Congress. California's Proposition 50 would allow lawmakers to temporarily bypass the state's independent redistricting commission and put newly redrawn congressional maps on the November ballot. If voters approve Prop 50, this would be the result. 5 districts seen in the light blue could potentially flip from Republican to Democrat. One big change, Santa Rosa could shift into a longtime GOP strongholds, Chico and Paradise. Steve Large spoke to a man who helped redraw the lines about what was taken into consideration.
These redrawn districts that we're putting before our voters are a temporary response to Trump's power grab.
Assembly Speaker Robert Rivas laying out new Democratic legislation to formally send these California redrawn congressional district maps to voters.
So I think it is pretty damn simple. California will move if Texas moves.
The effort by California Democrats to nullify Texas redistricting maps is now being fast-tracked. It needs to be passed by Thursday to land on the November statewide ballot.
Trump and Texas Republicans are responsible for all of this. We are only here because of them.
Let's not replace it with this joke. California Republicans are firing back, accusing the governor and Democrats of rigging the next round of congressional elections.
You can run, but you cannot hide. And we are not backing down from this fight. You are disenfranchising Californians, and we are tired of democracy dying here.
We have got to recognize.
The face-off comes as Governor Newsom leads Democrats across the country campaigning against President Trump in the midterms.
There are more districts that aren't touched in this process than there are those that are changed.
Democratic redistricting expert Paul Mitchell worked on the team redrawing the California maps. He says they included data on which Californians voted for Kamala Harris in the last presidential race.
Well, I think we were definitely looking at Kamala Harris numbers and other metrics like registration and multiple past elections kind of in their totality.
California's redistricting race. It's now a sprint to get these maps on a statewide ballot.
In the meantime, Texas House Democrats returned to the Capitol on Monday after leaving a 2-week walkout in an effort to stall a Republican-led effort to redraw voting district lines. President Trump has directed Texas Republicans to vote by the end of this month. Texas lawmakers are scheduled to reconvene on Wednesday. Meanwhile, President Trump said on Monday that he wants to get rid of mail-in voting ahead of the 2026 midterm elections.
We, as a Republican Party, are going to do everything possible that we get rid of mail-in ballots. We're going to start with an executive order that's being written right now by the best lawyers in the country to end mail-in ballots because they're corrupt.
The president also said he wants to get rid of voting machines and suggested going back to paper ballots. California is one of 8 states that allow all elections to be counted or to be conducted, should I say, by mail. Several other states allow it, but in a more limited capacity. Our legal expert says the president's plan could be problematic because the Constitution clearly states that it's states, not the president, who get to determine rules around elections. Governor Gavin Newsom's office touted successes around the state in tackling the homeless crisis. His office released data on cities and counties that are seeing a decline in homelessness. This is all based on point-in-time counts from January. Contra Costa County saw a decrease of 25.5% over last year. Sonoma County saw a 23% drop. The city of Los Angeles saw an 8% decrease in unsheltered homelessness. In the meantime, Santa Clara County's homeless population rose by 8% from 2 years ago. And that is where the city of San Jose has already started to clear one of its biggest encampments. That, of course, is at Columbus Park. The park is just south of San Jose Mineta International Airport. People were told to accept an offer of shelter or leave the park by 7 a.m. on Monday. The mayor says 400 shelter beds are available. More are on the way. The city also has an RV buyback program offering $2,000 for each vehicle, but one family says they want to keep their RV.
I don't like that the city's trying to move me out. I'm trying to find a place to put my stuff,
I'm trying to find a place to put my RV, but so far the city is not offering a place to put my RV.
Full cleanup of the park could take several weeks. The city plans to redevelop the park next year, adding playgrounds and ball courts. This week, 10,000 San Francisco city workers started returning to office for the mandatory 4-day in-office work week. Mayor Daniel Lurie's mandate was originally supposed to take effect back in late April, but that was pushed back until now after negotiations with labor unions. Kenny Choi takes a look at the impact of more employees returning downtown, especially for small businesses trying to stay afloat.
Every day at 4 a.m. for the past 19 years, Jason Wu shows up to this kitchen to make donuts and croissants.
About dollar by dollar to send them to school.
There's relentless pressure to sell enough each day to provide for his children.
Plus, I got three little baby at home.
Gateway Croissant is about a block away from City Hall. Most days, it's a 16-hour day for Wu, but it feels like a lot more.
24 hours, 7 days.
Hi, can I help you?
Wu's wife, Quinn Nguyen, noticed an uptick in business when state employees were required to work 4 days per week at the office starting in July. But it's the return of even more workers from the private and public sectors they're hoping and still waiting for.
They come and they get the donut, also the coffee for meeting, birthday, or for their office, for just sometimes just because Friday.
Those regular office meetings are when boxes of coffee can be sold, rather than a single cup at a time or one donut per transaction. Lurie has argued the new policy will enhance government efficiency and boost foot traffic around Civic Center. According to Placer.ai, which tracks foot traffic trends, office visits in July were down 34.2% compared to July 2019. But the city also saw a 21.6 year-over-year increase in office foot traffic last month. Julian Vogel teaches finance at San Jose State.
San Francisco is still lagging behind other cities in terms of absolute percentage of people in the office.
The new 4-day mandate will apply to an estimated 10,000 workers in non-essential roles like accounting, human resources, and legal services. Vogel believes small businesses could see significant boosts.
But now the government, the public workers coming back, incentivizes somebody to open something in that former sandwich shop location, which now makes private industry more likely to come back.
Hopefully people in the downtown also coming back more days a week, so I can able to get more business.
The couple at the corner of Golden Gate and Larkin believes new city policies are making a difference and benefiting small businesses like theirs.
Not like just talk.
So you see it on the streets?
We see it on the street, yeah. We feel it right here.
He won't be working less, but Jason Wu will be a little more hopeful with the promise of more business on the horizon, even if it means long mornings, days, and nights ahead.
According to the mayor's office, about 70% of city workers in critical public space or critical public safety, healthcare, transportation, and infrastructure jobs have already been working in person full time. College students in San Francisco also returning to the classroom this week. Today is move-in day for San Francisco State University, go Gators, at a new campus project bringing affordable housing to hundreds of students. Veronica Macias was at West Grove Commons this morning as students prepared to check into their new home away from home.
Students are arriving here at San Francisco State University right now, unloading their belongings and getting ready for that college life. And we know that college life can be very expensive. There's a handful of members here, the move-in crew that's at the ready to get them going. So they can use any help they can get when it comes to moving in, which is really nice here at San Francisco State. There's a new complex that's offering 700 affordable units to students. It's the West Grove Commons, and it's the first of its kind that's funded through a state grant to address the limited number of housing for college students. University leaders say that it's going in the right direction for California that needs to take an effort here to preserve access to higher education. According to San Francisco State's website, Student housing on average costs about $16,000 a year. A 2020 UCLA study finding that the number of students experiencing homelessness in California between K through 12 has increased more than 48% in the last decade, which is why making low-income beds available to students is so important, according to this one student.
I'm a first-gen student, so I'm the first one to set this kind of path for my family. The affordable housing makes it so nice to be able to just be able to breathe and just not worry about all the money that it is, because it really is a lot of money.
Here at San Francisco State University, this is going to be the scene throughout the day. People moving in, getting ready for their college years here. We talked to a couple of sophomores really looking forward to their college life, also telling us that living on campus really helps with their academic success.
And K through 12 students at San Francisco Unified also returning to class this week. Mayor Daniel Lurie joined educators at Sanchez Elementary yesterday just before classes began to stress the importance of attendance.
Everybody understands how important our public schools are. And I think Maria Sue is focused on making sure that we get back to focusing on our kids and their outcomes. We want our parents to know that even missing just 2 days of school a month can set our kids back.
It comes as the district is promoting its Be Here campaign. The nonprofit Spark SF launched the campaign in hopes of cutting down chronic absenteeism to help both students and the school district. Teachers have stressed with parents the importance of, showing up.
Have had to educate families on what is too sick to be at school versus healthy enough to attend. That's the family side of things. And then with the students, we've been trying to have some things that students really look forward to.
In just 3 years, they reduced absentee rates from 70% to 37%. Up next, he's a punk rocker turned music producer, how he's using tunes to empower the transgender community in San Francisco.
I really want to create a space where we can be seen and heard and respected.
In the Bay Area, a new WNBA franchise is taking flight. Catch this first-in-a-lifetime inaugural season as the Golden State Valkyries play live on KPIX and Pix Plus.
We have a big warm-up in the forecast right around the corner as we head into the next couple days. Where we notice it the most, well, honestly, all of our microclimates, but really those inland areas heating up to the triple digits by Thursday. It'll be a hot day for us, and now that it's back to school too, that summer heat is on in full force, but luckily it starts to cool down back into the 80s heading into this weekend throughout those inland areas. And at the same time, our microclimates along the bay are gearing up for 80s in the forecast by Thursday. Well above average for this time of year, but good news, we have 70s and cloudy skies heading into early next week.
Well, when it comes to creating spaces where queer and trans musicians can thrive, KB Boyce is not just making music, he is making change. Bay Area artist and punk music pioneer has spent decades lifting up voices like that of La Femme Bear, the first black trans woman to produce a Billboard Top 10 record.
We matter to each other, and let's make something. Even if it doesn't go anywhere, let's just create. Because we are worthy and matter to each other. And I think that is the thing that Queer Rebels is always trying to instill. It's this, hey, we got you, we got each other. That's what we got.
Lorene Ayu takes a closer look at KB's journey and the movement he has helped to build.
For KB Boyce, music is a lifeline. The black trans musician, originally from New York, says punk music gave him a space to feel accepted, especially while navigating his own identity.
Music is medicine for me, and I feel like it's also, that is a shared thing throughout the world. It can make you feel better. It can bring your spirits up. It can bring you to tears, and sometimes that's what we need, is to cry, a good cry. But music, to me, is magic.
A teenage punk trailblazer fronting the late 70s, early 80s band Nasty Facts, KB has always had a heart for empowering artists. But when he moved to the Bay Area and saw that queer and trans artists were struggling to get paid for their work, he knew he wanted to do something about it.
I am very much invested in creating spaces for queer and trans musicians, artists of all kinds, actually. I'm I really want to create a space where we can be seen and heard and respected and preferably paid for the art that we create.
And that's what inspired KB to create Queer Rebel Productions, offering a platform not just for expression, but connection and protection.
We all need to be respected and paid for the work that we put into our art. And we put a lot of heart and sweat and tears and into it.
As KB reflects on his journey from east to west, he says he's grateful for the sense of community the Bay Area has offered him.
I felt really at home here ever since. And it's been over 30 years that I've been out here now, and I love it.
The kind of love that keeps him creating one melody at a time.
And to see the rest of our Transgender History Month stories, just go to our website at kpix.com. Well, coming up, we're going to show you what happened when our Julia Goodrich came face to face with a black bear. Yeah, there it is, that broke into a home in the middle of the night.
Hi, good morning.
You are going to notice a huge warm up around the corner as high pressure starts to ridge its way in. What this is going to do for us, it drops our relative humidity. So we will see sunnier skies, warmer weather. We're going to see daytime highs start to peak, eventually hitting the triple digits, making us keep a close eye on places like the East Bay when it comes to our heat risk map as early as Thursday. And that's also the case throughout some of the North Bay valleys too. Napa, Sonoma, stretched all the way down into the Santa Clara Valley. We're in that moderate heat risk as we head into our Thursday forecast. So I want to show you the numbers starting off in those inland areas, because it's places like the East Bay and the North Bay that I'm a little concerned about when it comes to this extreme heat coming in fast and then moving out fast too. Look at this. I mean, we jump from the 80s to the 90s by tomorrow, triple digits Thursday, back into the 80s heading into this weekend's forecast. And it looks pretty similar along the bay too, just of course a lot cooler as we head into the next couple days. Today we're in the 70s. Tomorrow we're in the upper 70s. We hit the 80s by Thursday with sunny skies, which will feel super nice and very beautiful, but of course well above average for this time of year.
Well, have you ever gone to Tahoe? You know you're supposed to watch out for bears. They're notorious for breaking into homes, and our very own Julia Goodrich found out firsthand after a bear joined her family on the North Shore, well, in the middle of the night.
You know how you hear something in the middle of the night, you think it's coming from the kitchen? Nope, this was from the entryway. A big black bear.
Shut the door.
Look at that thing. Oh, God, your mom's back in the car.
It's okay. So he took off with some food, and we spotted him just right outside the house having a feast. This is peanut butter. So, of course, I went into reporter mode.
Trying to figure out how the heck this bear got in. It's 3 a.m. right now. So the only explanation is that someone did not double bolt this door, or even lock it for that matter. I think it was open, and he was able to push it through. Must have smelled the food and then had a feast. Look at this. Reese's, a pie, an entire pie, grabbed one of these bags and scooted out the door when it heard us and saw us. Oh, look at that face. Oh my God.
Yes, wildlife experts say all the time, watch out for bears. Don't leave food in your car. We didn't have food in our car. Just didn't think this friendly guy would open the front door and make himself at home. The end.
That's a huge bear. Okay, thanks for streaming CBS News Bay Area. I'm Ryan Yamamoto. We'll be right back with your first alert forecast and a look at your top stories.